This episode of BTP Daily is brought to you by K Rico Coffee, man. One of the best coffee places you can go to, and they're also selling coffee for everyone all over the place. But it's nice to have some coffee at home. It's also nice to have some coffee somewhere else, but it's also tremendous to go have some over at K Rico Coffee. For those of you that live down in South Florida, definitely a place you want to go to. It's over at 2728 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. And you will enjoy it. JR and the gang have some tremendous coffee, have some tremendous types of coffee recipes and all this other good stuff that you will definitely enjoy. But more what you will enjoy, other than the coffee, let me be completely honest with you on this one, is the people. You go in there, you chat, they talk. What a concept, right? People talking nowadays face to face and, actually caring about what you say. And no need to really look at your cell phone in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, K Rico Coffee gives you that more human experience, that human touch, because they care so much about their craft, but they also care so much about making you, the consumer, happy with your cup of coffee. Whatever type of coffee you might like, everybody has different tastes, everybody has different likes. K Rico Coffee has it for you. K Rico Coffee. It's the people that make coffee good.
Hey everyone, how are you after a little bit, or actually quite a bit of a layoff after the World Cup? Lots of traveling and, of course, being home and trying to finish things up. I'm back, but there's some that are kind of back if you want to start looking at, who's made the returns in certain parts of the world. It's not just only me, it's many people that are kind of saying hello again to old places. And we got to start with Thibaut Courtois. And of course, he had a great World Cup with Belgium. Great as far as overall play, as far as collectively being part of a team that got to the semifinals of the World Cup, won third place, and really were able to etch a bit of history as far as the Belgian national team is concerned. And no longer are they the team looking to not be, looked at it as the underachievers, the team that actually has a golden generation, if you will. But it was funny because I happened to be with Florentino Perez last week. Not that I know him or we know each other or we were hanging out. Just happened to cross paths, and he was quite the charming man and quite an individual that really has to be praised for the way he handles the press. He goes out and he talks to them and he says things and he laughs and he's very cordial and even sometimes a bit jocular when it comes to, certain things and being able to put in that stinger or two when it comes to Barcelona or even Atletico Madrid. But ironic, it seems that after all those questions and all these things that are going on, the uncertainty that's going on, I happen to be there when he goes and says, well, if Inter want Luka Modric, they're going to have to pay 750 million euros in order to get him and not a cent less. But then you start looking at the squad and you start to see that there's certain shortcomings as far as Real Madrid are concerned in certain positions. There's, as much as, whether you're a Real Madrid fan or not, you start to look at those types of things and it becomes quite prevalent. It becomes quite obvious that there's certain areas of the pitch where there are people and players missing. I didn't think goalkeeper would be that position though. And here's my analogy if you really want to get into the situation a little bit better. I mean, I'm not going to go tomorrow because at the local dealership and go and just buy a car because it happens to be 75% off. And I hear many people that cover Real Madrid, that talk about Real Madrid, that analyze Real Madrid, and they say, well, Thibaut Courtois came cheap. Why not? That's the same logic I use. Cars, 75% off. Why not buy it? But then again, that's something that we look at and it seems kind of weird because goalkeeper, again, wasn't the necessity. You had a Keylor Navas that was doing quite well. Is a goalkeeper that won 3 consecutive Champions Leagues, has been amongst one of the most consistent performers for Real Madrid the past 3 years. Well, again, if you want to consider players not named Cristiano Ronaldo, well, Keylor Navas was probably at the top of the list, maybe at the very top, depending on how you want to argue it, depending on how you want to look at it. Keylor Navas, his future now seems uncertain. Just after a few months ago, when Florentino Perez says, well, that's our goalkeeper. We have a goalkeeper and everything's good. But then again, Florentino Perez is known to speak out of both sides of his mouth at times. In case you forgot, he was also looking to bring in Kepa Arrizabalaga from Athletic Club back in January. But if it weren't for Zinedine Zidane, maybe that would have happened and Keylor Navas would already be out of a job. Now, one thing I can tell you is Keylor Navas will be up to the task, but up to a certain point. You just can't shove aside a goalkeeper that's won 3 consecutive Champions Leagues. You just can't. You just cannot say, well, he's not good enough anymore. Let's shove him aside. But then again, And again, I don't want to be perceived as taking a shot at Real Madrid. This is just a criticism of how certain things are handled at Real Madrid because they've had a history of handling things poorly at Real Madrid. Case in point, Claude Makelele. Case in point, Raul. Case in point, Iker Casillas. Case in point, Fernando Hierro. Case in point, Vicente del Bosque. Maybe some will probably even say Fabio Capello, but that was a different set of circumstances. But if you want to include him, you're more than welcome to do so. He was a bargain, and that's what you hear a lot of times. Real Madrid are talking about the bargain that is Thibaut Courtois. Okay, let me throw this at you. What if he's not good enough? Mind you, as much as Keylor Navas has made mistakes, Thibaut Courtois has as well. Or do people not remember that Champions League match between Barcelona and Chelsea? Thibaut Courtois, just like any other goalkeeper, is prone to making mistakes. Gianluigi Buffon was susceptible. Manuel Neuer has been. Even Lev Yashin at one point in his career. Obviously, I didn't see him play. But he was human. And he must have been susceptible to mistakes here and there. 6-year contract for him. So what's going to happen? Well, right now, Thibaut Courtois is 25, 26? So maybe based on that argument, maybe we'll start looking at Thibaut Courtois 5-6 years down the road being already expendable. If you want to start using the age, because Keylor Navas will turn 32 very soon. Is that going to be a viable argument in 5-6 years' time? What if you get him to start and he's not so effective? Remember, people talk a lot about how Keylor Navas, doesn't have and it's very true. And I've even spoken about it to several Madrid-based journalists, Real Madrid beat writers, that despite winning 3 Champions Leagues, it's still not enough. 3 Champions Leagues, 3 Club World Cups, 3 European Super Cups, a La Liga title. But it's still not enough to be the number 1 guy at Real Madrid. And again, that's all very mutual because, or very, very relative, I guess that's the better word. Because you look at what Real Madrid stands for, and sometimes, it's the biggest team in the world. There's no doubt about it. Real Madrid are the largest, biggest club in the world, bar none. But sometimes the way that they treat certain players ends up being so questionable. Because Keylor Navas, without a doubt, deserves a much better shake than what he's getting right now. And in by no way, shape, or form is that Thibaut Courtois' fault. The problem here is that it's just like any other bratty type of kid, I guess you can use that example, just because they happen to be there, or that consumer that just because something's on sale or something's at a lower price, we have to buy, albeit we might not need it.